What's up, everybody? I'm Allison,
And I'm Jill.
and this is the Players Corner. Today, we got a fun interview coming up with Kelee Lepage. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, Skills Machine, for sponsoring the pod. This is not a pod, it's a web series. I don't know what it's called. We do have a giveaway going on. It is on my Instagram. You can apply by going on grandprixfieldhockey.com, making a code name, doing challenge number 1, Speedy Interruptus, and then posting it to social media and tagging me and at Grand Prix Field Hockey. Um, Check it out on my Instagram. I believe there are like 0 people entered right now, so you have a very good chance of winning. Um, but yeah, thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring us, and we're gonna head into the interview with Kelee Lepage.
Today's guest comes from Honeybrook, PA, where she played for Excalibur Club and Twin Valley High School. She helped lead Twin Valley to 3 Berks County titles and the 2015 PIAA state title. As a senior, she was named as the Berks County Player of the Year, and then went on to play for the University of Maryland, where she won all region honors in 2019 and won 3 Big Ten regular season titles and was a part of the 2018 Big Ten Tournament Championship. She also played in the 2017 and 2018 National Championship games. After being on the U19, U21, and development team, she recorded her senior team cap on January 26th, 2020 against the Netherlands. She was on the 2022 Pan American Cup squad that finished in 4th place, was an alternate on the 2023 Pan American squad that earned a silver medal, and on the 2024 squad that's qualified for the Olympics. Please welcome Kelee Lepage to the Players Corner.
Hello, thanks. That was awesome.
I feel like I wrote a little bit too much, but it's fine.
That was good. That was awesome.
Also, my spelling, I was like going through it and I was like, oh, like I spelled team wrong. So sorry about that, Jill.
All good.
It's all good. I know when you get in the group like typing, you're like, oh, and then you're like, I'll edit it later.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get started with a fan question. This comes from Jessica, who asks, when did you realize you wanted to play internationally?
Oh, great question, Jessica. I think from a young age, I knew I wanted to play on the USA team. I grew up in Pennsylvania. My high school coach was Brenda Hoffman, 84 Olympian, Ashley Hoffman's mom. So me and Ashley were teammates. And so she just kind of instilled that like Olympic dream, international hockey dream in me just from, yeah, I think she was my coach from the 3rd grade on. And I think that was really helpful just to like paint the picture and be like, you're capable of doing this. And I was like, awesome, let's do it. And just like entering into futures, which is now Nexus and beyond. But I think from which I'm feel fortunate to say that from like a younger age, I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be really cool. I think I went on my first tour with the U19 team. We went to Belgium, and that was when I got like just a taste of playing abroad, playing with against like other countries, different styles of play and that kind of thing. And that was a really cool experience and definitely fueled a little bit of the fire to keep going.
Okay, so now we're gonna move into like the actual questions. We split this into sections. So the first section is background, which is actually decently about high school today. Sometimes it's just all over the place. But the first question has nothing to do with high school, and it's been kind of a least favorite question this week.
Okay.
Can you describe yourself without mentioning field hockey?
Okay. I love this question. I'm glad you guys are asking that. I feel like so without field hockey, I would describe just like my personality of just like joy, gentleness, and a lot of like just relational. So just being in community, like with group of people, and I feel like I'm learning a lot about myself in just like finding different hobbies, or like I really enjoy like going on walks, which seems so simple, but it's like really peaceful to me, and like those things that are like outside of hockey that like end up helping me with hockey. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of like my personality and what I like to do. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard question, so
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Ooh," and I'm
Yeah.
like it's a good question. It's just like a little hard because like when we describe ourselves, like field hockey is usually the first thing we mention.
Thing always. That yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that.
So you mentioned this a little bit in the fan question. So what made you start playing field hockey?
So my mom played hockey, and she's also an elementary PE teacher. So growing up, she had my brother and I play one sport every season. So I was playing soccer and softball and basketball, and there was a youth field hockey camp at like through Twin Valley. And so she signed me up for it, which I was like reluctant to go. I guess I remember like not wanting to go because I was like, oh, but I play all these other ones. She goes, you have to just try it and you'll see. And um, after that camp, I guess it was just amazing. And my mom was like, you want to sign up for fall? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that's how, that's how I got introduced to it. And then just continued to play from there and absolutely loved it.
So the next question is very silly, but as a fellow pale girly, I need to know how do you prevent yourself from getting sunburned during the summer practices and games?
Oh, SPF like 50 plus, the sport version, and also SPF before you leave the house, put it on again, and I think just reapply. But the tan lines are real, and I can't get rid of them. It's hard.
Yeah,
This is
my first practice every preseason of college, I would just burn to a crisp no matter what. And my coach would always be like, "You look like a tomato." And I'm like, "Yeah, I
I
know."
can't. Sometimes I can't control it.
You ran track in high school and you were pretty good as you were named to the 4x100 relay all division team. How do you think being a multi-sport athlete helped you throughout your field hockey career?
Um, I think like playing multiple sports, it just gives you a idea of how to play other sports or like different tactics and different things. And I think it was important for me to play like other sports in high school just so that I one maybe like wouldn't burn out with field hockey, and also two just like develop other relationships, but also like track was like running sport, so like would always be beneficial in hockey. But yeah, it's funny. I forgot. I think I ran track one year, but I think it was definitely helpful and something fun, something to do that like no pressure. Like I can just go out and like do it. Whereas like hockey, I was like getting recruited and then got recruited and obviously had to stay healthy to play in college. But yeah, I definitely am grateful that I played so many different sports growing up. One for just like the joy and the fun of the sport and that kind of thing. So I still play basketball. I have a basketball hoop. I go play. Like I'm still a multi-sport athlete, just looks a little different. Yeah.
So as you previously mentioned, you and Hoffman were teammates at Twin Valley. What was it like growing up inside and outside of the USA pipeline and now qualifying for an Olympics together?
I think it was really cool because she was a year above me, so obviously just like learning from Ashley um and she went off and played at UNC, and then I played at Maryland, and we ended up playing against each other in a national championship game, and then coming back together on the national team. I just feel like it's like a full circle moment. Which is just really cool, just to, like have someone like like in your corner and like you've played with so many times before. And but yeah, I definitely feel like we like push each other back in high school, and it's been nice to like be back playing together again. I remember getting my first cap and we like took a picture together after. I was like, woo, we're back. So fun. Yeah, it was cool, definitely cool.
This is like one of my favorite questions to ask because I'm also like a fellow PA girly. So
Mhm.
growing up in PA, is there a current teammate that you hated playing against in club or high school because they were like just so good?
um that's funny. Rachel Robinson, she is actually one of my really good friends today. But playing against her in high school, she played for Donegal and we played against them, and she's so competitive and so great. But I feel like in club, I remember playing against Linnea and being like, dang, that girl is just so good. And then we ended up going to Maryland together. So it's just like cool to like things that you play against each other and then end up playing like with each other in certain respects. It's cool.
That's funny you say Rachel Robinson because I actually played against her in high school too.
Her sisters or her?
Her.
Oh, you like, yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, Donegal for a little bit, Donegal was in like the same like division like that I would when I played in like Sir Lebanon League. Yeah, she was
No,
so good.
no
She
way.
was so
Wait, where did you go to high school?
I went to Elko.
Okay, okay. Maybe I don't know if we ever would have played each other, but
No,
that's funny.
when I went there we were like they were not good. They're a lot better. They're a lot better now. But yeah, she was so good.
So
Um,
good. I know. She's awesome.
all right. These are going to now be questions about your time at Maryland.
Awesome.
What was your favorite memory from Maryland outside of field hockey?
Oh, outside of field hockey. Wow. Honestly, I had great roommates. So we call 231 was our like apartment. And I just feel like any memory I had with 231 was a lot of fun. Yeah. And they were all teammates. So, it was nice that we had that, but also that we could have a lot of fun off the field together and that kind of thing. So I feel like it's pretty vague, but those were some good memories with those girls.
So you had a minor in leadership studies. What was kind of like what kind of like is the coursework for that, and like what did you learn from it?
Yeah, it's such a cool minor, and a lot of athletes take it. Yeah, obviously you need a lot of leadership and that kind of thing. But we did like organizational leadership. I had took a sports and leadership course, and other just like leadership practices and that kind of thing. So it was like a lot of like papers, but also a lot of like reflection and then application of like how to yeah, be a leader. What does your leadership style look like? What is that? And yeah, I think it was a very beneficial one, especially like being a leader on the team later in my college career. And then obviously, leadership styles aren't just for like the captain, they're for anyone who is in an organization and that kind of thing. So I feel like I learned a lot about that through that, as well as like talking to other athletes and how they like kind of handle different like challenges or, um, yeah, and that it's just cool that everyone can have their own kind of way that they are leaderful, I guess. So yeah, it was a really awesome minor.
All right, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna probably butcher the name of this club when I ask the question, so I'm sorry in advance. You played in Germany with
Mhm.
Mannheimer?
Mannheimer, yeah, Mannheimer.
Mannheim. Okay, I was thinking it'd be that, but I was like maybe not because okay.
It's
Mannheimer
yeah.
HC for summer while in college. What was that experience like?
So it was awesome. So my sophomore spring, Missy, my head coach, approached me and was like, "Would you want to go abroad and play?" And I was like, "Absolutely, that would be a very cool experience. I think it would be a challenging experience just for like growth and that kind of thing." And so I ended up playing at Mannheimer in Mannheim, Germany, and I did an internship as well. And yeah, again, like the international, just like playing in a different style of hockey, and just like the Germans are really good at 1v1 defense and accelerating and just going there and just allowing myself to be free and learn. And there was like no pressure and just to have fun. And I played with some of the top players that are still on the German national team, which is really cool. And yeah, I think it was definitely a valuable experience, and I was really glad that I got to go do that. And I know like a bunch of other people have gone and played abroad too, and yeah, there's just so much value in going and learning from another style of hockey.
So when you went overseas, did you know any German like before going, or did you have to like kind of pick it up on the fly?
I picked it up as I went. I did start Duolingo like a few months before. I had no real idea, but I think Google Translate, I did, and was my best friend while I was there. However, I did try to pick up some German and learn it, and I was good at I could even read, but speaking it was really tough, but yeah.
Yeah, I took 5 years of German in school. Like I took AP German.
Wow.
Got a 1 on that exam. Could not speak. I can't
Oh,
speak it for the life of me. But like what's it called? German's just kind of to me it's very hard language to pick up like on the fly, except for like some words. So I'm like I can't imagine like so my coach was South African and him trying to explain concepts to us was really hard. And like I can't imagine getting coached in a language I couldn't speak and try and figure out what was
yeah.
going on.
So luckily, because same, I was nervous. I was like, I'm not going to understand a thing. But there was an Irish girl, a Spanish player, and as well as a New Zealand. So other English speaking players on the team. So some of it would be German and then they were translated. Or I got really good at just like observing and like watching and being like, okay, I understand like where you're coming from. But I picked up some of the like cues and some of the hockey terms. I don't know if I could tell them now. It's been so long, but yeah, definitely different.
So your last season at Maryland was in the fall of 2019, and then the following year was when everyone received an extra year of eligibility due to COVID. Do you think if you had been given the opportunity to to have an extra season of eligibility, would you have taken it?
That's a great question. I feel like I probably would have, had I not like if I made the national team in right after my senior fall. So I feel like if I made the national team and then was given that, then maybe no, maybe I would have just stayed with the national team. But I feel like that was definitely fun for a lot of people. I feel like I might have or like done a master's or something because that's always a thing. But I don't know. Looking back, I don't know what if I would have had that opportunity, what I would have ended up doing. But um, I feel like it's nice for those athletes that got to do that 5th year.
Yeah, I think COVID eligibility, the fall season would be the last year anyone has COVID eligibility. And I
Yeah,
just think that like it's a very like interesting conversation to have like of should there be a 4-year cap on it? Because like so many players do their masters anyway. So
yeah,
it's like at that point, like why don't you just make it 5 years? Um, so I think
yeah.
that's like kind of like just like an interesting conversation.
Oh, I never haven't actually thought of it in that way. Like, why not just give them 5 years?
Yeah, like why do we have to make it 4? Like not everyone graduates in 4 years to begin with.
So true. That's so true. That's so interesting.
So you played with quite a few current national team players while you were at Maryland. Is there
Mhm.
anything about Maryland that you think helps produce such successful players?
I believe that so like Missy Maharga is a huge proponent of USA field hockey. And when I got recruited, as I'm sure the other girls as well, like I had told her I wanted to play on the national team, and she was like, "All right, we're gonna help you get there." So I think that alone, that like communication and her willingness to help us get to where we want to go, as well as just like great coaching. And I was fortunate to have Katie Bam and Marvin Bam as coaches, both Olympians. And so just like that work ethic and that drive that is and professionalism that's like required to be part of the national team. And so I think that those few things just I feel like helped elevate and just the support to like continue to like go to the USA field hockey events and allow us to like go on those tours during the spring seasons and like that kind of thing. So I think it's just overall the support and then of course the coaching is great and yeah.
All right. So these questions are now going to be about the US national team. So how did you find out about your first national team call up and what was your reaction?
Well, I'm gonna have to rack the memory. It feels like it was so long ago. So I went to the trial in January, early January of 2020. Um, and I had known that it was like a national team trial. And I was going and just playing. and then got an email and was like, congratulations, you made the national team. And I just like looked at my mom. I think I was on the couch. I looked at the mom. I was like, no way. Like, this is like the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it was a little bit of just like surprise. And then obviously just like gratitude. It was like, wow, this is the next step into my career. And then, so I think that's probably it.
So when you're getting ready for a game, what are the pregame vibes in the locker room like?
The pregame vibes are, it's cool because our team has developed a culture of like, what do you need? Do what you need to do. So you'll just see some people like in their headphones doing their thing, or people listening to music and dancing and that kind of thing. But I like to do a little bit of both. I usually like my own pregame vibe is like headphones in, walk in and get ready. And then I like to be present with my teammates. So I'll unplug and soccer circle or different things. So I feel like they're pretty level, pretty even, but a lot of like just joy and laughing and that kind of thing.
So throughout the years, have there been any players on the squad that have been role models for you, or even like a younger player that's kind of influenced you?
Let me think. I feel like when I came on, there a lot of people had like left or were moving on. But I feel like from the start, Anna DeSoy was probably a player that I like looked up to and went to. And Amanda as well. I feel like when I made the team, she kind of like took me under her wing and just have developed a nice friendship and teammate in her. So I'd probably say those two people.
So you guys were in India for a very large amount of time this year. Just like a little bit of citizenship. How did you kind of keep yourself sane and like focus on your mental health during long stints of time that like you're supposed to be kind of more focused on field hockey?
Yeah, I think it's because we go away for so long, like even, I mean, like 4 weeks is a whole month. So like even that's a long time. But my faith is huge to me. So I always bring my Bible along, and I feel like taking time to myself to just read and to be in prayer and listen to worship. And I feel like that's kind of what renews me in those moments. And like, just because tour can get long and it can get crazy, and I feel like everyone needs to like either spend a lot of time together or spend a lot of time on their own. So just like, I feel like over the years I've learned and realized that like taking that time to be alone and to do those things is what probably continues to keep me well throughout that time. And I think that I obviously use that a lot in India and that kind of thing. So
In events like the qualifiers, there is so much noise going on, whether it's literally from the fans in the arena or like figuratively from social media. How do you maintain your focus and composure in these high pressure environments?
That's a great question. I feel like in terms of social media first, I feel like it's important to just almost like filter what I see. And of course, there was a lot of hype around the Olympic qualifier and that kind of thing, but like taking like necessary breaks off of social, and not getting like too deep and down like rabbit holes, so just being aware of that. And I think on the field, um, it's such, we like talk about that, or we have like had conversations about that, of just like almost like trying to like block out the noise and like stay focused in the moment. And um it was pretty cool like being at the Olympic qualifier, and like the field was pretty intimate, and like almost not even like hearing anything else, but just like being like focused in on the team. And we ended up playing in where were we? Ranchi? No, nope, sorry, Rukla, the third location in India, world's largest field hockey stadium, like 10,000 people in this stadium. And I remember like, because you can just like hear the crowd like change their screams. And I remember like being in our defensive circle and there was like a pause in play and like hearing it and then like almost like be like, oh, that's really cool. And then I remember getting back into it. And then it was like the noise was like white noise after that. So I feel like it's just we had like conversations before of like, be aware, like this might be like in our surrounding, but how can you like stay like zoned in, locked in on what we need to do? It's definitely, yeah, it's interesting, but it's definitely really cool to experience that.
I'm pretty sure it was the Pan Americans. There was like a scoreboard right behind the goal. Um, do do you guys during like video reviews watch the video review play on the scoreboard, or do you just kind of like talk to yourselves and ignore it?
I think typically we'll look and see. We'll be like, "Oh, was it right?" And then we'll come back in, and then we'll talk about like what we need to talk about, like if there is like points to be had, or if it's like a video review for a corner, like what's the next corner, or like that kind of thing. So I feel like it's be like, okay, back in.
So who was the first person you called after you qualified?
um, Actually, FaceTime Megan Valzonis. She was in the States. I FaceTimed her when we were in the locker room. And then I called my mom and dad immediately right after. Yeah. Once we left. It was crazy.
So given that you do make the roster for the Olympics, does any of your family or friends have plans to fly out to Paris for the games?
My family does. I feel like as all of our families probably do. Mom, dad, my brother, his girlfriend, and my grandparents. And then I have like friends that are like randomly in Europe for a Coldplay concert who are like, we want to come to a game. And I'm like, okay, I'll try to see if I can get you a ticket.
That's
But yeah, that's obviously hopeful and that kind of thing. But
Tickets booked or no? Because I think it was Leah said that her parents booked the tickets and said that like they're going either way.
yeah, on it, all the tickets are booked. I told them, I said, make sure you get a refund because you never know. Like you never know. But yeah, I don't know what they'll end up doing.
Just
So
takes the
check.
trip without you.
They'll
Yeah,
just go live
like
their best life in
honestly,
Paris.
my mom has been like is obsessed with the Olympics. Like we grew up watching them, so I'm like, honestly, Joni, go enjoy. But yeah.
So you recently got to do an interview and kind of like a hit around with Kelsey. What was that experience like?
That was super cool. We had gotten reached out to, like our communications manager had reached out about like an NBC interview. And like 3 days before the interview, Ashley Sessa texted me and was like, "You'll never guess what." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Kylie Kelsey is going to do our interview." I was like, "No way." Like that's sick. She's just awesome. And yeah, it was just a cool experience. She's just such a authentic, genuine human, and you can tell that just through her media, but also like meeting her, and she just like rolled up on her own, like, and yeah, it was super cool. It was super cool to meet her, and that interview is awesome. I feel like put into perspective like this whole journey. So yeah, it was a really cool thing.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that NBC like lets her be it's not necessarily commentator because like that's a different job, but like I guess a broadcaster like
Yeah.
like I I guess technically they call them analysts, although
Yeah.
they're not analysts.
Yeah.
Um, just saying.
Yeah.
But like I hope that they let her like be on air and talk about it because I feel like she like popularity wise people know who she is, but she also like has a good perspective of the sport. So I think
Yeah.
that like it'd be really cool to have her do it just to like help grow the game a little bit more.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I love that she's helping growing the game. Like that's cool that when I found out she played field hockey, I was like, that's sick. Like that's awesome. And she's like doing clinics and different things. So it was cool to just like, yeah, hear what she's doing for the sport and obviously everything. So
So these are kind of just a few looking ahead questions. Is there anything you want to approve on during this upcoming Pro League series?
improve. I um I feel like there's so many things. Improve. I feel like always growing at just like the pace of the game, and just like 1v1 elimination, so more of like my attacking style and attacking game. And I think, yeah, I feel like that's kind of where my focus is right now.
Would you consider playing overseas again?
I have considered it, but I don't know if I will. That's up in the air still. I think yeah. I found like really nice community here and feel like I'm in Charlotte and feel like I'm still growing here. I think going abroad would elevate my game for sure. But right now, staying put.
So we've recently seen kind of like this uptick in popularity of women's sports between like the WNBA, NWSL, PWHL, and I think they just announced a professional volleyball league, although I'm kind of confused about details.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think it would take to get a field hockey league either in the States or in North America as a whole?
Probably a little bit of money. I feel like that would take, and then like interest in, I feel like we have kind of seen it in like the adult league kind of growing, like through club systems. And I feel like that's honestly like a grassroots way to like start it, which has been really cool to see, and that people are involved in that. And yeah, professional league would be awesome. I feel like field wise, like you can't just play it anywhere, so you'd have to get like colleges on board or that kind of thing. But yeah, I feel like that would be awesome.
I feel like it's logistically like kind of really hard right now.
Mm.
I think we probably can convince Bank of America to, give some money if you put Bank of America on every single uniform.
Every single one.
Just like different, or I mean,
Yeah,
it's red, white, and blue, so that's not really many options, but like just different shades of colors.
absolutely could figure it out.
All right, and our last section comes upon the fun questions, even though all questions have been fun.
Fun. Okay.
As a Pennsylvania, as a Pennsylvania girly, are you a Wawa or Sheets, and what is your order?
Um, Probably Wawa. I always get like a turkey sub. And then a coffee or an orange juice. I think that would be it. Their breakfast sandwiches are also good. But Sheets does have good churros, which is like super random. But I remember getting them in high school because we didn't have a Wawa nearby, but we had a Sheets, so we'll get churros from Sheets.
Do you have any game day superstitions?
um, Superstitions, no, I guess, but like the routine, like so I listen to 3 specific songs and like hair is the same. I can't wear my hair anyway different, so maybe that is a superstition or just how I like it, but I would say those two things.
Yeah, the distinction between superstitions and then routines is it been very common theme the last couple of episodes.
For
Everyone's
sure.
like, I don't have a superstition, I have a routine.
I have a routine and the
Or
routine
like
has to be
if the routine doesn't happen, we're not gonna lose, but like I want to do it.
yeah. It's like we're all on the same team, you know? It's the same thing.
Who is your favorite teammate to room with?
My favorite person to room with? Oh, that's hard. I feel like I've had so many different roommates before. So I don't even know if I could pick one. Jenny Rizzo is always a good roommate. I'll say it. I'll say Jenny.
Who do you think is the best driver like of a car on the team?
The best driver of a car? Um, Kelsey Robles is a good driver. I'll give it to her. I feel like I'm a good driver. I would like to be the one in the driver's seat, so maybe I'll also say myself.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have pretty good public transportation in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, we do. I know a lot of people use it, or some, at least a few have been using it, which is nice.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm not sure if they even drive. Like, I think Charlotte has public transportation compared to most places.
Yeah, and some girls live like, so it's called the light rail in Charlotte, and some girls live either like walking distance to the light rail, and then it goes right up into UNCC. So it's, yeah. If I think I'm like a mile from the light rail, so I'm like I could bike there, I could walk, I don't know. Haven't explored it yet. Have been on it, but haven't explored it as a commuter to work yet.
What is a TV show that you never got the hype around?
The Office.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
No, that's valid though.
I feel it. I do like it.
I was a like Friends, New Girl,
Friends.
that kind of thing. Or Grey's Anatomy. I can't get into that. It's like too hard.
There's too many seasons.
I've watched every single season of Grey's Anatomy, and honestly, I still kind of hate the show.
Yeah.
I can't make that commitment.
Yeah. So maybe I'll put Grey's Anatomy. I have watched The Office a little bit and have laughed, but yeah, couldn't get into it. I'm not a big TV watcher in general, but in college, I have Friends was my thing.
And then our last question is I know Olympic rosters have not been named, but is there anyone that you want to meet from another team in the Olympic Village?
Would love to meet on another team. Oh yeah. Sydney McLaughlin Levrone. She's a track athlete. It would be incredible to meet her. And like LeBron James would be sick. I'm like, we're gonna be in the like same dining hall. I don't know. That would be wild. I think there are just so many like goats. Like there's so many cool athletes that have been around. So I just feel like, yeah, it'll be quite the experience and fingers crossed.
I think literally everyone this week has said LeBron.
Absolutely.
So we're making a request that if there is a chance to get a picture of a LeBron next to Ashley Sessa, we want it to happen.
We need it. We need it so bad.
We need it. Yes, the tallest and the shortest and the
yeah, like it's a must.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's like one of those things that like no one really talks about when it comes to the Olympics is like just the fact that like literally all these amazing athletes are like in one spot. It's like kind of crazy.
From all over the world too. Which
Yeah.
would be, yeah, really cool.
All right. Jill, any more questions?
Nope, I'm good.
So that does it for us. We're gonna head into the post show. Thank you so much, Kelee, for joining us.
Thank you. So fun.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelee, for joining us. We had so much fun talking to her, and welcome to the post show.
Post show.
So I'm not gonna lie, we don't have good notes for the post show. So we got three topics coming at you. So first, we're gonna talk about the masterpiece that is Princeton field hockey's fall schedule. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how the heck is a schedule a masterpiece? So when it comes to qualifications and RPI and rankings and all of these other factors, or technically there's 6 factors that go into qualifications for the NCAA tournament. RPIs, KPIs. I don't really understand most of the rest of them, but RPI is like the big one. That's the rankings. Everyone, like if you go on the NCAA website and you see rankings, that's RPI. NFHCA is the other one. Those are coaches' opinions. Anyway, RPI rankings. So how RPI rankings work is you get 25% of your score is your record. 50% of your score is your opponent's record. And 25% of your score is your opponent's record. So if I'm on Sacred Heart and I play Quinnipiac, my record as Sacred Heart is 25% of my score. Quinnipiac's record is 50% of their score. And then say Quinnipiac had played Columbia in the game before. It's going 25% of my score is going to be Columbia's Columbia's record. So there's a lot of variables that go into it. So what happens is you need a really strong strength of schedule if you want to get an automatic or an at-large qualifier to the NCAA tournament. Because if you don't win your conference tournament, you can only get an at-large bid. You can get an automatic qualifier if you win your conference tournament. So Princeton's in a pretty tough conference. Harvard obviously won last year. They're a very good competition, very good team, hard to beat. So Princeton, teams like Princeton, and you saw this last year with JMU. We talked a little bit when we talked about that when we did their schedule. They will bulk up their schedule with a lot of difficulty And Princeton did just such a beautiful job at this. This is an analyst's dream schedule. I literally could go on and on about how perfect this schedule is. It's so good. So good. So they open up play versus Louisville. Now, something to note is Ivy Leagues do start a week later than all of the other colleges, just because of the way Ivy League rules work. So all the other colleges are starting August 30th. So the last Friday in August, they start August 30th. The next Friday is when the Ivy Leagues are allowed to start. I do believe they have scrimmages beforehand. But they their first practice is also delayed. It's an Ivy thing. I can't explain it to you. I don't get it. So they open up versus Louisville. Now Louisville will have already played 2 games. So last year Louisville opened up versus Northeastern and Northwestern. I don't know if that's going to be the same this year because we don't have a schedule yet for Louisville. But if they do, Eastern's like a mid-tier program, but Northwestern obviously a very good program. Then they play North Carolina.
Louisville handed Northwestern their only loss of the regular season in that first weekend last year.
Then they play UNC, which obviously UNC is UNC. Like,
you gotta
and
play the
UNC
best to be the best.
opened against Iowa and Michigan last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So once again, super high, raising their profile, getting really strong. But also, if they lose versus UNC, it won't kill them because it's in the beginning of their schedule. Where if they lost against UNC towards like in October, it would hurt them more. That's just how the schedule, how it works. Like the order of games also matters. Then they play Miami, Ohio, which Miami, Ohio is a competitive team. They always make the tournament. They don't really make it
in the tournament. They play
far in the tournament. They usually play in a playing game, but they're routinely winning their conference championship. So I have nothing wrong with this. Then they play Penn State. We got FIA. We got a game against FIA. It is in Pennsylvania, which is slightly disappointing for me because that means I'm not going to be able to just run to Princeton and go see FIA play. I'm sure that's a lot better for you, Jill.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go to Penn State so bad because they're going to be building like a new
yeah, they built a new stadium.
And I really want to see it, but it is a little far. Like it's about 2 hours from me, so not to eat. Yeah, it's not a super easy Pennsylvania drive, but yeah, we need to see FIA.
Yeah, we need to see FIA
in action.
Then they play UPenn, which is an Ivy Conference matchup. Nothing more to it, honestly. Rutgers, beautiful in-state rivalry. I actually saw them play this past spring. I can't remember who won, but it was a really good game. Like there was no score, I think, until the end of the third. So pretty good matchup. And Rutgers had the longest undefeated streak last season too. They played really well. And then they got in conference and they kind of sank a little bit. I'm also just really excited because this is on my birthday weekend. It's 2 days before my birthday. I did not realize my birthday was on a Tuesday this year. But as long as I'm not working a home game for a team that I work for, I'm gonna be at that game and it's gonna be my birthday weekend and I'm gonna be happy. Then they play Columbia in conference. Northwestern, obviously Northwestern's massive powerhouse. It's a little bit later in their schedule, so it will play a little bit more of an importance, but you can't go wrong with the game. And then we get Beth Yeager against Olivia Bent-Cole. Just saying, that's gonna be fun.
Went to
also,
Princeton
we get
Northwestern a couple years ago. That was at Princeton.
Then we also get Beth Yeager's drag flick against Annabelle Scoobies.
Yes.
I don't know how Scooby. I can't say her last name. I think Scoobish. That combo drag flick against the best goalkeeper in the NCAA. I'm here for it. I am so excited for it. That one is at Princeton, and I will be in attendance as long as I don't have to work my own game. We love it. Then we got Cornell in conference. Cornell played really well last year. I do believe Caroline Ramsey graduates. She was a fifth year. Although her younger sister, I believe her name is Julia, is very good too. So I'm interested to see how Cornell transitions with the graduation of Caroline Ramsey, but I do expect that to be a pretty good game. Then they play Cuse. Cuse is going to honestly be in a bit of a rebuilding year. They were in a rebuilding year last year, but now they lost Charlotte as well. So I do think that they're going to be in a bit of a rebuilding year. So I don't necessarily know how strong they'll be. Although they do have really good freshmen. I can't think of names. Oh my God.
Because I think they also lose I'm gonna butcher it. Effie
I
Van
I know.
Nieuwenhof.
Yeah, Van Nieuwenhof. I don't know how to say her first name.
I don't know, but they lose
Is
her.
it
That's a big
is it
loss.
Hattie and Bo? Is her the sister's name?
Yeah, Madden.
Yeah, Madden. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see if they really are in a rebuilding year or if they
Mhm.
are going to be good. So this is later in their schedule, so it's kind of eh. But if they're in a rebuilding year, it's not gonna matter. Yeah. Then they play Brown, nice in conference matchup. Then they play Delaware. Delaware is consistently a pretty good team. They might not be pushing the top 10 every year, but they are a very good team. And I think that they're like a kind of a nice break from some in-conference play for Princeton. Then they play Harvard, which will be their toughest match in conference of the season. Harvard's always a very good team. That's every single kid on that team is from England.
Yeah.
There's just so many kids from England on that program. But always a great, honestly, that game's just amazing. Then they play Maryland once again.
That's always a good game.
Good game, super competitive. Both amazing teams. I'm so excited. Also, it's in New Jersey,
I feel
so
like they always go to like a crazy overtime when they play. It's always like a second or or something like
mm.
it's just there's just always like a lot of a lot of drama when they play. So always a fun time to watch them.
Then they play Dartmouth, so in conference, and then they round out their regular season schedule with Yale. Um, like I said, it's just a perfect schedule. Like it's such good strength of schedule. Honestly, not terribly much traveling, which I am a big like teams should not be traveling across country. Um, American East California teams, or ACC teams now, I guess.
Yeah.
Like their furthest game is Kentucky, which I mean is quite far from here, but it is their opening weekend, which
Yeah, so you get that out of the way early.
I think opening weekends, I think overnights on opening weekends is the best thing to do because it builds character and team camaraderie. Um, like some of my favorite memories are from team overnights on the first like away weekend. So I fully believe that that's like the best thing for a team. So I have no problem with them going to Kentucky the first week. But other than that, like very local schedule, very competitive schedule. It's so good. It is such a
Yeah,
good schedule.
it is. And I think it's just so balanced too to have like that competition and then have like your Ivy, and especially with the Ivy League now having a tournament, it just like every, every game in the Ivy really
Yeah.
matters. And so having that balance, I think is good for them.
Yeah, and I think it also gives them very good out of season or like I call it September season because most of the time we play in conference in October. Um
Mhm.
it gives them very good preparation for some of the easier teams in the Ivy League that they're playing such hard teams in September and really getting like they're going to have to play very good teams and be a very good team, and then they kind of work their way towards some of the teams that aren't as amazing. Then they play Harvard, and then they kind of finish out like a little bit of an easier schedule. So I think
Right.
that like they know that they have to very much prepare for a hard Harvard game. And I think their schedule reflects that. But yeah, so
Mhm.
I just love their schedule.
I know
It's so good. We're not going to talk about every team's schedule because
there's a bunch.
there's
And it gets
167 Division three programs, and we are not going through 167 Division three
no,
programs.
we could barely figure out where
I'm not
the
going
ones.
through it all 82. I don't. It was 83, but Lindenwood got cut. But then our Mercyhurst D1, so I guess it's 83 still. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But yeah.
We're not going through all of them. I just had to talk about that one because it's just so perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
you can find out what games we like during our games of the week.
literally. So our next bullet point is that Michigan has officially added field hockey for the 2025-2026 school year as an official sport.
Woo!
Woo! We love seeing growing the game. It's going to be kind of like a test run. That was like not quotes. That was like whatever this is.
Claw fingers.
Claw fingers. A test run in 2024, 2025, where teams can kind of see, programs can kind of see where they're going. Obviously, love the growth of the game. Love to see this for Michigan players. Love to see this for Abby Tamer, honestly. Like, I'm just saying. Abby Tamer's from Michigan. Abby Tamer played in Michigan.
There's so many good players.
I'm gonna call this the Abby Tamer effect. We're coining it. Caitlin Clark of field hockey, everybody.
Michigan also, it also is crazy because I think the University of Michigan draws such good athletes for their field hockey program. So
yeah, Michigan has quite a few like really good players.
yeah.
I'm gonna just pull up my stats real quick. I have a list of like 100 players from Michigan, which is like honestly small compared to some. But like I feel like you always hear about like Skyline, and like Skyline, Sane, Dexter. I'm probably butchering every single one of these names. Pioneer. I think there's another one. I can't think of it.
Because Pioneer's in Ann Arbor, but I don't know if there's like in Ann Arbor.
Well, I don't know if there's I know there's Ann Arbor Pioneer. I don't know if Ann Arbor Pioneer is the same as Pioneer. And then Grosse Point South. Grosse Point South?
I think Grosse Point. I would say Grosse Point.
Okay. I don't know how to say names. But like all of those are very good programs, but I'm excited to see like obviously an expansion and growing the game because we love to see it. Caitlin Clark of field hockey, everybody.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, and then our last subject of matter is the Pro League games coming up. So there is like JPAC coming up. Actually, the men's JPAC roster just got announced today, but we're going to talk about that in later episodes because we want to talk about Pro League. So we got 8 games coming up. We got two separate series, one in Belgium, one in London. So we are playing. Dun, 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 dun. So our games are USA versus Belgium on May 22nd at 10:45 EST on watch.hockey.com. No, it's just watch.hockey. I don't think there's a .com. Anyway, USA versus Argentina on May 23rd at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Watch Hockey or watch.hockey. USA versus Argentina on May 25th at 5:45 a.m. on watch.hockey. USA versus Belgium on May 26th at 8 a.m. EST on watch.hockey. USA versus Great Britain on June 1st at 9:30 a.m. EST on watch.hockey. USA versus Germany on June 2nd at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS Sports Network and watch.hockey. USA versus Germany on June 5th at 10:30 a.m. EST on watch.hockey. And USA versus Great Britain on June 6th at 12:45 p.m. EST on CBS Sports Network and watch.hockey. And you might have noticed me mention we are going to have 2 games streamed on CBS Sports Network. I honestly don't get CBS Sports Network, so I don't really understand if this is like mainstream television or it's like a subscription.
I don't know if it's a subscription. We get it on our cable, but they do have an issue where like we ran into this with the qualifier where like if another event was like going on,
sailing on.
Yes, the sailing, and they would not cut and they wouldn't give any like indication that like they were going to be cutting to field hockey in any moment. So that's my beef with CBS Sports. So I don't know technically if it's mainstream.
Yeah, I don't get it. I watch all mine on Watch Hockey, but I mean, it's better than just being on Watch Hockey. It's a little bit more available, a little less. Still not likely that people are going to stumble upon the sport.
Right.
But progress is progress. We love to see it, especially Pro League, which is like never televised. Something that is important to note, and we do talk about it. I think we talked about it in Bing, which is already up, and we talk about it in a couple of different episodes. We can be regulated out of the Pro League if we do not win. So we are currently in 7th place. Belgium is in 8th place. Belgium has played 4 games so far, so they are playing a majority of their games during this series. If we drop down to 8th place, we will be regulated out of the Pro League. We will not be in it anymore, and whoever the winner of the FIH Nations Cup, which is happening the first week of June, they will be added. I know Canada's competing in it. I know Ireland's competing in it. I can't think of a single other team that's competing in it, but there is a bunch of countries competing in it. And we will like also talk about that. But if we come in last place, which from the standings, we more than likely will. We will no longer be competing in the Pro League. Now, we got regulated out last season. At the end of last season, we were regulated out because we came in last. But New Zealand chose to leave to focus on the Olympics. Just saying, how's that working out for them? They didn't qualify for the Olympics. I'm just saying. I just had to say it.
Just had to put it out there.
No offense to the Black Sticks, honestly, one of my favorite teams. Kind of, I was very upset that they did not qualify. However,
I was too there.
we only got added in because New Zealand did decide to drop out. So that is something to be kind of aware of while we're watching these games is depending on how we do, there is a very good chance we get regulated out this season. And we need, honestly, we need to be in it, because from like a growth of the game standpoint, it's just really helpful to have these players, doing it because realistically, otherwise we're going to be playing scrimmages versus Argentina, which like Argentina's number 2 in the world right now. Very good side. Not going to make fun of Argentina. And then Canada, who's not necessarily a great team. And then also being in the Pro League does help our world ranking. So we want to stay in it. And yeah, like we don't want to get regulated out.
No, and I think it really helps we like especially with our discussion of growing the game, like this is a place where the players are visible. If you get out of Pro League, where else are these players going to be visible? Especially with like the scrimmages are great, nothing taking away from scrimmaging.
But they don't film them.
Right. So how are people going to know who they are? You know, once we go to this Olympics, the Olympics are not for another 4 years. Like, so there has to be something where these players are visible and you can see them and
Yeah.
it is really important that they are back at Pro League.
Yeah, and we want to make sure we qualify for the 2025 World Cup.
Yes, because that's
Wait,
also
is it
another
2020?
thing.
No, juniors is 2025. I think we're 2026.
Okay. But
we
still, yeah.
We didn't qualify for the last World Cup, so we want to make sure we're qualifying for it. And I do believe that being in the Pro League is the best way to ensure that we are qualified for it. So I think that's all my ranting for today. We are going to have 2, maybe 3. I have to check the calendar. All right. So we're going to have 2 episodes and then 1 following up very shortly. Going up next week, we got our interview with Meredith Soldier going up. That was a literal 2-hour interview that took 3
Oh,
weeks.
yes.
So that one is going to be so much fun to watch. I promise.
Yes.
It's going to be long, but it will be so much fun to watch. I enjoyed that one so much.
Yeah, talking with Meredith was really great.
Meredith was just like an absolute sweetheart. Like, oh my God, she was so genuinely nice. I don't know. Oh my God, she was just so much fun to talk to. Like, I want to like just go get a coffee with her and like just sit and talk for 3
I just
hours.
like one with all of them. Like I just like like oh yeah, we're just gonna go hang out. Like
Yeah.
I just want to be your guys.
Like, listen, I'm not picking favorites, but I will say I did donate to an adopt a player for one specific player because they are my favorite. So you know who you are. Shout out to you.
Shout out to
Speaking of
you.
which, we're gonna link it down below. You can adopt a USA field hockey player and donate to the cause. Technically, you're not directly donating to the specific player because the Olympic rosters have not been named. You're donating to the foundation, which helps the entire team. However, we are not a government-sanctioned organization, whatever it's called. So our money comes from donors. So we need donors. Please, 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 please donate to the cause. We need you. Our players need you. We need to go to Paris. So please, please, please donate to USA Field Hockey Foundation. We'll have it dropped down below. Donate to your favorite player. Let's see which players can get the most money, or fans. I think they have a thing that says like tracking. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only people who've donated so far. So probably you can figure out who it is. But anyway, please, please, please donate to USA Field Hockey. They need it so much. And obviously we want to support our girls in any way we can. Love every single one of them. But yeah, so that does it for us. I think I started the outro and then never actually did the outro. ADHD, man. But yeah, so we will be back next week with an episode with Meredith Shoulder. That is going to be so much fun. And then we are also going to be doing a recap show of all the Pro League games in sets of 2. I don't necessarily know who the guest is. We do have 2 guests lined up right now. We're still working on getting the other 2 to do the recaps. We're just scheduling things because, you know, working with 3 schedules can be a little hard.
Mhm.
So we will announce those on our Instagram later this week, and I hope you have a good week. Bye, guys.
Bye.